There were a lot of oral arguments for this case that didn't set well with me. Not to mention how much of the more than 2.5 hours were spent on hypotheticals and concerns about future cases. I want to focus on the core question asked. Do presidents have any form of immunity for their actions in office? This is a fairly long episode because there was a lot of important statements made. We start with the petitioner, D. John Sauer for Mr. Trump.
Without presidential immunity from criminal prosecution, there can be no presidency as we know it. For 234 years of American history, no president was ever prosecuted for his official acts. The framers of our Constitution viewed an energetic executive as essential to securing liberty. If a president can be charged, put on trial, and imprisoned for his most controversial decisions as soon as he leaves office, that looming threat will distort the president's decision-making precisely when bold and fearless action is most needed. Every current president will face de facto blackmail and extortion by his political rivals while he is still in office.
While many in the legal and political realm treat the office of president as an elected king, the idea that a president of the United States can commit crimes in office without even the possibility of accountability would be the true change in this nation as we know it. Remember, the idea that kings can never be wrong and are therefore immune from prosecution was one of the concepts from which we fought for independence. Simply because a president has not been charged yet doesn't mean that they shouldn't have been or that they shouldn't be in the future. You cannot claim that no one is above the law and then place someone above it. Justice Thomas asked what I think is the most important question.
Mr. Sauer, to your last point, could you be more precise as to the source of this immunity?
The source of the immunity is principally rooted in the executive vesting clause of Article 2, Section 1.
And how?
What is the executive vesting clause? Well, from Article 2, Section 1, we read, the executive power shall be vested in a president of the United States. He shall hold his office during the term of 4 years and, together with the vice president chosen for the same term, be elected as follows. Do you see anything about immunity there? I don't. Perhaps it comes as part of the executive power. Well, Noah Webster defined executive and his power in his 1828 dictionary. Having the quality of executing or performing as executive power or authority. Nope, no mention of immunity there. So where has Mr. Sauer come up with this idea of presidential immunity?
And how does that happen?
The source of it, Justice Thomas, I think is, as you described in your separate opinion in Civitovsky, for example, that the executive vesting clause does not include only executive powers laid out explicitly therein, but encompasses all the powers that were originally understood to be included therein.
Oh, okay, so Mr. Sauer points to an opinion Justice Thomas wrote in the case Civitovsky versus Kerry. Our Constitution allocates the power of the federal government over foreign affairs in two ways. First, it expressly identifies certain foreign affair powers and vests them in particular branches, either individually or jointly. Second, it vests the residual foreign affairs powers of the federal government, i.e., those not specifically enumerated in the Constitution, in the president by way of Article 2's vesting clause. However, just because Justice Thomas said it so in a concurring opinion in the case referenced doesn't make it true. In fact, the 10th Amendment states exactly the opposite. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. So if a power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, it belongs either to the states or the people. The Constitution specifically delegates powers. It most certainly does not imply them.